Bom dia, bom dia, bom dia, meus amigos. Bem-vindos todos ao nosso The Kupanda Way. Hoje é o dia de Kupanda Way, um dia muito especial onde nós vamos tratar de especialidades de joias da botânica africana para o Clean Beauty. Hoje estará a cargo desse super compartilhamento de conhecimentos o Mr. Imran, da Kupanda, uma distribuída muito especial nossa, especialíssima em especialidades e joias da botânica africana, produtos espetaculares para suas formulações na área do Clean Beauty. Como vocês sabem, esse é um compromisso nosso que a gente vem desenvolvendo ao longo desse ano todo de compartilhamento de conhecimento, de trazer, de aproximar os melhores insumos e as mais diversas tecnologias das nossas distribuídas com os nossos clientes, porque esse é o nosso compromisso com o desenvolvimento industrial do país. Quero agradecer muito a presença de todos, quero agradecer muito a dedicação do Mr. Imran nesse compartilhamento de conhecimento. Explorem ele é um gênio nessa área, conhece tudo sobre esse assunto. O evento vai estar sendo transmitido direto pelo Zoom, mas também pelo YouTube, e lá no YouTube você terá todo o material à disposição, se você perdeu, se um amigo seu, um P&D de sua empresa não teve oportunidade de acompanhar, você vai poder revisitar sempre no nosso canal de vídeo, no canal de vídeo da Color Mix Especialidades, esse material que lá estará, inclusive com a sessão de perguntas e respostas. As perguntas e respostas, vocês, por favor, colecionem, tanto na área de perguntas e respostas do Zoom, como também lá pelo canal de vídeo do YouTube. No final, a Eliane, nossa especialista e a nossa responsável técnica, vai conduzir um talk show com o Mr. Imran para que se troque ideias, para que se explore o máximo esse conhecimento e tire todas as dúvidas e responda todas as perguntas. Abram as câmeras se vocês estiverem dispostos para trocar essa ideia, para interagir com o Imran. Ele vai gostar muito, ele é uma pessoa muito proativa e que tem um profundo conhecimento nesse assunto, ok? Agora eu queria convidar a Eliane para vir se juntar a nós, fazer as apresentações e falar um pouco desse portfólio lindo para Clean Beauty que a Kupanda tem. Bom dia a todos, muito obrigado pela presença e aproveitem o evento. Bem-vinda, Eliane, um abraço.
Gabriel, bom dia a todos, né? Quero agradecer também, em nome de toda a equipe de Ciências da Vida da Color Mix Especialidades, setor que eu atuo na área técnica, e a gente está sempre muito feliz, né, de poder estar aqui ao lado de amigos, de pessoas que atuam na área de cosmético, e hoje o tema que nos traz, né, aqui para esse encontro, é a relevância, né, dessa tendência do Clean Beauty, que não se resume só à nossa pele, e que ela se estende muito mais do que isso, a essa transparência de propósitos, com relação também à sustentabilidade, e poder mostrar, né, o que o pessoal lá da África vem trabalhando e vem fazendo, é realmente muito rico, né, de muita novidade, de muitas oportunidades para enriquecer aí os clientes das nossas criações, dos nossos produtos, né. Então, como o Abreu disse, nós voltaremos, né, no final da apresentação do Imran, para fazer um bate-bola aqui, estaremos abertos para a participação de vocês, e a gente vai estar falando disso, né, dessa botânica africana dos óleos vegetais. Então, Imran Moten, seja bem-vindo a essa Intec da Color Mix Kupanda.
Well, thank you, Abreu and Eliane. Thank you very much for the warm and lovely welcome. Bon dia to all of you in Brazil. Fantastic to be presenting. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I haven't been able to come out there. If I can just very briefly introduce myself, my name is Imran Moten. I'm the founder and managing director of Kupanda. This is a business that we started about 6-7 years ago now, and we've really been skating some great heights and been doing some fantastic things. I'm just going to get our presentation up and running. If you can just bear with me for a second. A few slides. So the topic of today's presentation is about the Kupanda way. And really it's about how we as Kupanda purport to being a clean beauty ingredient supplier of choice. What I'd like to do is talk about 3 particular topics. Firstly, just give you a short overview and introduction about Kupanda, who we are, what our ethos is, and a very quick overview of our product portfolio. I'd like to characterize clean beauty and what that means for us as an ingredient supplier for your cosmetics products. And then I'd like to spend most of our time just demonstrating how we as Kupanda credentialize ourselves as being a clean beauty ingredient supplier and some of the things that we can do, but also how this will impact you as a cosmetics manufacturer. So Kupanda is a specialist provider of niche, high-value, esoteric botanical extracts from plant items of natural origin originating out of Africa. We coined the term the Kupanda way about 6 years ago, and it was very much around who we are as a business and really what our company ethos is about. And this is a picture that really describes who we are. I often put this up and I ask our customers or our audience at a presentation, what do you see? And most people say, I see a hand holding a plant. And I say, absolutely, that's fantastic. But that's only 50% of the picture. What else is the remaining 50%? Unfortunately, 9 out of 10 people don't see that there are phytonutrients from the plant, whether it's the leaf or the stem, coming into the hand and sustaining the human body. In other words, it's a picture of equilibrium. The hand sustaining the plant is about respect and integrity of the plant's natural properties. The other 50%, the plant sustaining the hand or the human body, allow the plant's pure and unhindered benefits to sustain our lives. This is who we are at Kupanda, and this is a philosophy or an ethos that guides every decision that we make. We have a product portfolio that primarily consists of 6 very niche, exotic, and very precious vegetable oils where the seeds originate from Africa. They are exotic, not only in terms of their names. You can see that we have assigned an African word from a particular language that connects with the sourcing location of where we source those particular seeds from. And we've selected a word that really brings out the efficacy or the benefits associated with each of our oils. So Wala, for example, comes from the language of Chikwawa, which means to be radiant or to shine. And that connects very strongly with Moringa as a skin microbiome oil. All the oils have an exotic story. So we bring forward the historical, botanical, and cultural folklore context of the tree or the plant to really bring in what do these trees and plants where the seeds originate from, what they actually mean to the local communities. Our oils are green. They come from plants. They are cold pressed. They are physically refined. As a result, they are natural. They are green, whether you look at it from an organic Cosmos or from an ISO 16128 perspective, and we'll talk a bit about that later on. They're oils, so they're simple, they're transparent. Your customers can understand that these are oils and that these are exotic. Our oils are multifunctional, so it's beyond emolliency. It's also about the activity. It's also about the sensorial feel. Each of the oils have a unique sensorial profile that always creates excitement whenever we talk to formulators at customers. While the seed originates from Africa, from different geographies, our oil production actually happens in Europe. So these are products of Europe. They have a made in the European Union label. They're produced to high quality standards, and they are subsequently tested in Europe and available from our logistics headquarters, which is Hamburg. Clean beauty. Clean beauty is a phrase that's really popped up over the last few years. It's become increasingly popular, but you know, in the earlier years, you ask people, what does clean beauty actually mean? And either nobody knew, or people would give you very vague or fuzzy responses around what clean beauty actually is. Personally, I've never seen a definition around clean beauty. But recognizing that there was a link between this term clean beauty and what we coined as the Kupanda way, we saw a link and we investigated this link a little further. We asked a number of customers, what does clean beauty mean, and what does it particularly mean to us as a clean beauty ingredient supplier? What do you want to see from a clean beauty ingredient supplier? We've got 7 points that I'm going to bring up on the board and just talk around a little bit around each of these. The first is products of botanical origins. Fairly straightforward. Processed through physical green chemistry. These were responses that we consistently received. And then we started to understand, what does clean mean? And we coined it as free from dirty. Well, what is dirty? Dirty being parabens, petrochemicals, etc. I think we've all read a little bit about it, so we understand that point. But I think overarchingly, it's about being safe to use without harmful effects. Now, as we've progressed down this journey, what we've realized is that points 1 and 2 are really the baseline concepts or requirements around clean beauty. Item number 3, efficacy performance orientation. What is the activity attributed to the ingredient or the underlying compound that creates something unique and starts to draw a higher level of clean as a term? High quality standards, accreditations. When it comes to high quality standards and ingredients from our perspective as an oil manufacturer, for us this means without blends, purity, and this goes back to the hand holding the plant. What you really want as a cosmetics brand, as a cosmetics manufacturer, is the real ingredient with the efficacy, with the compounds that nature has given us, in our case in Africa, obviously in other parts of the world as well. Free of contaminants, pesticides, heavy metals, hydrocarbons, etc. The sensorial feel is also an element of quality, and you know, I've seen our competitors, whether it's Baobab or Marula sometimes, and we can really feel the difference when it comes to the sensorial quality that we're able to produce compared to our competitors. Accreditations, and this is not just about Cosmos approved, organic, ISO 16128. This is about production facility accreditations. This is about the product themselves. This is about the standards and controls and the internal QA processes that one goes towards to ensure the high quality, the efficacy, and so forth. So I call these points 3 and 4 minimum requirements to be able to achieve clean beauty. The next 3 elements really then take us to a completely different paradigm. Oops. So without giving away the answers too quickly, the 5th point is around environmental factors, sustainability, regenerative sourcing. Are we sourcing in a way in which we are destroying the environment, which AKA relates to palm oil? Or alternatively, will that resource regenerate and be available during the next harvest season? What part of the plant or the tree are we harvesting? Does that leave a lasting damage? Environmentally friendly or biodegradable? Are there lingering environmental impacts associated with the ingredient or the finished cosmetics formulation? Does that, from our perspective, does our ingredient leave that lingering property? Or in our case, when it comes to oils, given that they're natural, are they biodegradable, which they are? A new concept that's starting to emerge is upcycling, or in some cases, recycling of raw materials. Are we using the full part of the plant when it comes to producing our oils, and what are some initiatives around what we're doing there? You know, and these are questions that some of our customers ask us. The 6th is around transparency. Do you know where you get your seed materials from in Africa? And this is a question that comes to us very frequently, and I can tell you that you'll see in subsequent slides, the answer is a resounding yes. But what we've also learned is it's not just about where does the seed originate or where do the collection activities occur. Traceability is, for us, really about where did the seed come from, which districts, what ship did it get transported on, what container, when did it leave, when did it arrive, when did it go into production, what are your production results, what quality testing did you perform, who's purchased your product. And this is an end-to-end level of traceability that generally I haven't seen done too well across different suppliers. And finally, ethics and impact. Are your raw materials, in our case, our seeds, being sourced ethically, perhaps use fair trade practices? Is there a social development impact where we can support underprivileged communities? So with all of this, the question that you should be thinking about as a cosmetics manufacturer or a brand is, how can Kupanda bring some of these elements to life so that you can use, if not all, certainly some of these as part of your product proposition, so as to differentiate your cosmetic product in a very cluttered international cosmetic market. What I'd like to do now is just take you through different aspects of these points, especially from points 3 to 7, and show you some of the activity and aspects of what we do to purport ourselves as a clean beauty ingredient supplier. One of the first things we've done is performed efficacy testing on our product portfolio. And from what we've understood, it's very rare for a company to perform efficacy testing on oils. What we've learned is that our activity tends to hover around the 2% to 5% range. And this comes about having done efficacy studies on a number of areas, but primarily understanding the activity from academic sources in the first instance, to then understand which oil for what cosmetic application. And from there, we've gone ahead and then performed efficacy studies. So when it comes to skin barrier protection and repair, we've performed a study on our Elula Kalahari melon seed oil and our Bula Manchetti seed oil, where respectively 2% and 5% concentrations outperformed evening primrose oil, a positive control or a darling of the cosmetics industry, 24 hours after application for skin barrier repair activity. We've tested for anti-pollution as a claim, and what we found was that both 2% and 5% concentrations of Mideca Zimenia oil demonstrated equal improvement in collagen levels after exposure to a pollution mix. We've extended our testing not just from skin, but also to hair applications. We've tested our Bula Manchetti seed oil for anti-frizz applications, results best achieved at 5% concentration. And equally for softer hair tresses, our data shows 2% concentration of Bula Manchetti seed oil achieved the desirable result. We've also tested our Moringa seed oil for skin microflora rebalance. What we found was 5% worked exceptionally well, as well as 100%, so a neat oil concoction. Inhibited B. linens and C. xerosis. This is on top of studies that we've looked at with regards to S. aureus, E. coli, and P. aeruginosa. So we've got a strong body of data, and we continue to look into our oils, look into the activity of our oil, and perform further testing. We have these studies available, and certainly ColorMix will be able to pass on these studies for you to review in much more detail. When it comes to accreditations, all of our oils are Cosmos approved. They are all physically produced, and as part of our accreditation process, our production processes have been validated. Moyo Baobab seed oil is organic certified, and at the same time we have a number of other oils that are undergoing the organic certification process. All of our oils, according to ISO 16128, have a natural index of 1 or 100%. We performed a study internally where we obtained batches of oils from our competitors, Baobab, Moringa, Kalahari melon, and marula oil. And what we did was we put our competitors' oils through the same testing and quality control standards that we do for our own oils. And what we found was that the samples were far inferior to the quality standards that we adhere to batch after batch. This is a study, again, that's available, and ColorMix would certainly be able to share this with you. But the key takeaway from this study is that we find some customers prefer to work with cheaper, lower quality grade oils, not recognizing that these grades of oils can land the cosmetics manufacturer or the customer into trouble at some point with costly product recalls and reputational risk repercussions. And finally, our EU production accreditations. The production facilities we work with are third-party facilities. They're very, very well organized and accredited. Organic, ISO 9001, HACCP, FSSC 22000, halal and kosher certified. So these are the accreditation facilities. These are some of the standards that are minimum requirements for us when we start to work with a new production facility to ensure the quality of standard that we maintain is quite high. Our seeds are sourced from local African smallholder farmers or wild harvest collectors. And the key point here is around generating economic linkages at community levels. Here is a typical baobab tree just coming into harvest. It's got fantastic foliage. For most parts of the year, you won't see the leaves. They will actually fall to the ground, and the trees are kind of like an upside down roots of the tree. You'll see baobab tree pods. You can see the people picking the pods which end up falling to the ground. When the fruit is ripe, they will drop to the ground, and local communities will walk around the trees from their local village areas, come and collect the fruits. Those fruits are then sun-dried and subsequently aggregated and bagged for production. These are fruits that just grow naturally out onto the trees. They're there, and the important part of what we purport to around sustainability is to ensure that that tree is there for the next harvest. We don't go up on the tree and cut any branches down. We don't remove any bark of the tree or anything like that. This is about regeneration and sustainability for us. What is unique about Kupanda and what I do, and just kind of as a side note, I come from a 17-year career in banking and finance and management consulting. And what I find about Kupanda, the uniqueness, the specialty around Kupanda, is that we are able to connect the people that you see in these pictures with you as a customer through our supply chain, through our sourcing chain, our production chain, through ColorMix, and out to your customers. And I find the power of being able to connect people through botanical materials, raw materials, is something that most industries would never be able to get close to. This is a level of influence and support that I find is absolutely unrivaled. So the pods are then collected in bags. They're trucked down to the production facility. The pulp is processed out of the fruit, which leaves the seeds. You can see in the bottom left picture down here. So these are the seeds with a little bit of pulp from the fruit left over. Those seeds are cleaned, bagged, containerized, and then sent across to Europe, where we produce our baobab seed oil in this case. I think what's very important is that we are able to trace our seed material down to a district level. So just to kind of give you a sense of how the layers are structured, you've got villages. A group of villages make a district. A group of districts make a province, and obviously a number of provinces make a country. These are some collection records of wild harvest Moringa seeds from Malawi back in 2018. And what you'll see is a number of collection activities performed by various what we call aggregators or suppliers who are assigned to a number of collection districts. Each of these people bring a number of seed items. So we record the quantity of seed. You can see, for example, Rashida from Salima is one of our main suppliers, quite a bit of Moringa seed that's come through. The seeds are then aggregated. Oops, there we go. Seeds are then aggregated to form a batch number from our sourcing partner that we work with, in this case in Malawi. We give our seeds a production batch number. This batch of seeds in particular was loaded on a container on the 30th of October, 2018. Those seeds were then transported from Malawi by road into Beira port in Mozambique onto a ship. All these records we maintain. The ship arrived into Hamburg, where we have all the relevant customs clearance, shipping documents, trucking documents, down to production, all the production related records, and then to produce a batch of oil with a number of packages. Each package has a Kupanda product serial number. And what we then do is track which customer, through a customer invoice number, bought which drum from which batch of seed, which works backwards to which district. So what we have is end-to-end traceability of seed to customer. We have requirements on our distributors to ensure that they keep records on which customer, which finished product manufacturer, which cosmetics or which brand has purchased which drum of oil, so that we can track all the way front to back and ensure that level of robust traceability. Africa-wide sourcing gives us a very unique position to be working with NGOs located across different parts of Africa, and to be able to contribute meaningfully to underprivileged communities. What you'll see here on the left is a short case study that we wrote up, where we provided funding to a number of remote village medical clinics to be able to support them with COVID-19 preparations last year as COVID was hitting. This is a water borehole that we funded. This is a village that had to walk about 20 kilometers to be able to get to a river to be able to bring water back to their community. So we funded this water well, and this is a pump that from an underground reservoir. We've also now extended this project to another 3 water boreholes that we funded to support collection communities within our network of seed material. So that'll be something that comes out as a short video in the next couple of months. Oops, let me go back there. And what you see there on the picture on the right-hand side is Kalahari Melon Collection Market Day in Zimbabwe in November last year, where having grown smallholder farmers, having grown Kalahari melons, the melons were defeated, the seeds were dried in accordance with training that one of our NGO partners had performed. And this is Market Day, where each of the smallholder farmers had brought their collection of seed to be paid for the work that they had done. On this particular instance, over 3 days, we bought 15 tons of Kalahari melon seeds. There were 197 collectors, of which 98% of the collectors were women. So a fairly significant contribution to the community, and in particular, ladies who spent quite a bit of their time and effort growing Kalahari melons and supporting our proposition, which obviously links forward into you as customers of ours. I think just stepping back from everything that I've talked to you about and presented about, I think really the raw cleanliness of our ingredients, as I describe it to my team, really starts from the cultural, botanical, folklore, historical context of our plant materials. And this is something that I often always talk to customers about up front. If I give you the example of Bula Manchetti seed oil, Bula means beauty in the African language of Ndebele. It's a language and a region in northwestern Zimbabwe, which is a collection region of our Bula Manchetti nuts. There is a fairly long stretch area called the Hwange National Park, and that's a particular area that is renowned for growing having the trees that you see on the bottom left, and obviously the Manchetti nut on the very bottom. The tree itself, from a generational point of view, symbolizes protection, endurance, growth. And obviously these are concepts that we bring forward for you as our customers to really take forward. The cultural exoticness associated with the Manchetti is that these are fruits and nuts that have been said to have been consumed over 7,000 years. Tribes, the Kung tribe from Southern Africa, are said to consume the nuts, especially during famine times. 300 Manchetti fruits per day, so it's quite significant. And folklore literature tells us that, you know, the nuts were used as a currency for the gods, especially when it came to healing the sick or the elderly, protecting villages from danger, or also to mend social tribal rifts across communities. So, you know, there's this rawness, there's a cleanliness around cleansing communities, which really comes out and resonates as part of our broader clean beauty proposition, which really comes back from where the entire product portfolio of ours starts from. And that is the villages and the communities that really enliven clean beauty right from the start of the value chain. That's really the crux of the presentation that I wanted to share with you. As I said, you know, clean beauty for us is a number of 7 elements where we've already been down this path, and it's great to see that, you know, the industry itself is thinking about clean beauty as the way we were coming into the cosmetics industry some time ago. I would be delighted to take any questions, share any further thoughts, any interesting ideas, etc.
Bom, estamos abertos aí para as perguntas. A gente já recebeu alguns questionamentos, né, pelo YouTube. E a primeira, Imran, é uma pergunta sobre essa última questão aí que você comentou, sobre os hábitos, sobre a cultura, né, do uso dessas plantas, desses recursos botânicos. Então, a pergunta veio dessa forma. Essas plantas que originam a extração do óleo são de origem do continente africano, né, que imagina-se que sejam característicos daí. Essas histórias, né, do uso, da aplicação pela própria população local, tem registros disso para que seja também conhecido aqui no Brasil? Por exemplo, você comentou do Kalahari, né, da semente, desculpa, do Manchetti, que era usado como uma moeda de troca para os benefícios com os deuses, ou seja, esse lado, né, folclórico, mas que traz uma parte do conhecimento da sabedoria popular. Vocês têm esse material para a gente poder compartilhar?
It's largely in oral communication with the villagers. You know, I go up to our villages, we go and interact with the village chief. I mean, something I must point out is that we cannot collect or engage in communities without the blessing of the village chief. And they want to know who is coming, who is looking to work and utilize their resources. So, you know, I've spent time with villagers. I've spent time in particular with village chiefs. And, you know, our knowledge of the communities, the stories, the folklores, all come from verbal discussions that I've had with communities and in particular the village chiefs, because for us, it's really about also understanding where do these seeds and nuts originate from. The sad thing about what we do see is that you won't find Manchetti nuts or Manchetti fruits in the supermarket. So these are fruits and melons and so forth that are largely used to a small extent by local communities, but not mainstream within the country. And so what we're here to do effectively is to be able to create a market for them, and work with them to be able to utilize the resource rather than it being wasted. But when it comes to the folklore written down, there are maybe the odd reference here or there, but from our point of view, it really is about discussions and dialogue and engagement with communities.
Que legal. Aqui no Brasil, a gente tem uma riqueza na medicina, né, da cultura popular, da fitoterapia mesmo, vinda dos negros africanos na história nossa, né? Então, é muito rica esse conhecimento para aplicação terapêutica, né? E esses óleos da Kupanda, do ponto de vista químico mesmo, são surpreendentes na sua riqueza de composição. Depois a gente fica à disposição de todos, né, que necessitarem aí de mais detalhes, tal, mas são realmente especiais. A sua composição, a gente não olha para os óleos da Kupanda só como um emoliente, como um óleo vegetal que participa de uma formulação, porque eles são muito ricos mesmo, de ativos e de propriedades, né, para melhoria tanto de pele quanto cabelo. Eu vou para a segunda pergunta. É possível afirmar que o óleo de chimênia protege a pele de tal forma que consegue evitar a perda de colágeno?
From the studies that we have performed, what our results showed was that collagen degradation was protected fairly well from exposure to environmental pollutants. The pollutant mix included cigarette, benzene, toluene, heavy metals, cigarette smoke, and some other elements that I can't remember off the top of my head. But certainly when we were designing the study protocol, I wanted to make sure that the pollution mix that we were working with was indeed representative of conditions that we would see in various parts of the world, whether it be South America or places like Asia. So, I think the study really stands up fairly well, and the data comes out fairly strongly. And I think, certainly I think there is a very strong claim that we can make around anti-pollution effects.
Ok, obrigada. Uma outra questão. Para o equilíbrio da microbiota da pele, né, dos micro-organismos, você comentou sobre o óleo de moringa, que ele tem uma atuação muito interessante. A ideia é usá-lo sozinho ou pode ser combinado fortalece se combinar, por exemplo, com Kalahari ou com Baobab, enfim?
I think if it ultimately depends on what is the objective of the formulation that you're looking to create. Certainly our results show that there is strong and effective impact to rebalance the microflora at 5% and 100% concentrations. So, if the product is really focused around skin microbiome rebalance, then it makes sense to have the higher concentrations. If the cosmetic ingredient is due to be more multifunctional, perhaps skin barrier protection, which also has a link to your skin microbiome as well, then there's certainly a case there to be able to bring the two ingredients together, by way of an example. it really, I mean, what we have done is shown that we have activity within our oils, as per the slide that I showed you. What we can do is really show the activity for our oils. What we can't do is then take it forward and say this will have, because our oils have an effect of X, your formulation will have an effect of Y. Unfortunately, there are parameters that we can't control as part of formulations. What we did do, though, is as part of all of our formulations and our concentrations, we always take the principle of using a simplex formulation, which is always stated on our report and output documents, which are obviously fairly easily available. So we're fairly transparent to give you an idea of how we've developed the formulation to show that it really is the oil, and that is a basis upon which then you can use to create subsequent formulations for consumers.
Obrigada. A outra questão é se a melhor opção para produto para uso capilar seria o óleo Manchetti.
It's a great question. From our research, academic, and then subsequently from our efficacy testing, we selected Manchetti oil to choose as and position as our ingredient for hair care. Why? Manchetti oil has a very unique fatty acid profile, and in particular a very special fatty acid called eleosteric fatty acid. Eleosteric fatty acid has this unique property that when it's exposed to UV conditions, it polymerizes and creates a film effect, whether it's the hair or the skin. Okay, and effectively it acts as the same way as silicones do. Now, I'm not saying it's a silicone replacement or it is a silicone, but it behaves as a silicone. That is the only fatty acid in any of our oils, which obviously resides in Manchetti, that has that property. So is Manchetti a great oil for hair care, anti-frizz? Absolutely, and our results show that. However, if I look at our so-called success stories, where our oils have been placed into recently launched hair care formulations, I can tell you that Baobab is used, Marula is used, Kalahari melon is used. Why that is, I don't know. Unfortunately, we don't have the reach to be able to, ask formulator customers why they've chosen one oil over another. But certainly the data that we have shows that Manchetti oil is a fantastic oil to be used in hair care formulations. That doesn't mean that other oils should not be used.
Ok. Não sei se alguém aqui do grupo, da sala, tem mais uma questão, nós estamos à disposição. Se quiser fazer pessoalmente, né? É só abrir a câmera.
Na verdade, a pessoa teria que escrever no chat ali.
Tá, ok. Então, pode deixar no Q&A ou no chat a questão e a gente encaminha para o Imran. Ok.
Se ninguém tiver pergunta, eu posso pedir para o pessoal para a gente tirar uma foto de todo mundo. Eu posso promover todo mundo para participante do webinar. E aí a gente abre a câmera para tirar uma foto.
Todo mundo concorda? Se todo mundo concordar, o Fernando nos mostra, né? Vamos dar esse carinho aí para o Imran, para ele olhar nossos olhares aí brasileiros, né? Em atenção ao carinho dele também conosco, né? Olho no olho sempre é bom.
Wonderful, thank you.
Eu estou transformando todo mundo em palestrante, que eles podem abrir a câmera aqui, se tiver vontade.
Ok. Ok.
Acho que o pessoal não está muito...
Ok. Nós agradecemos, né, a participação de todos, sempre para a gente um momento, né, de muita alegria para nós da Color Mix, tenho certeza que para o Imran da Kupanda também, dizer para ele que ele é bem-vindo aqui no Brasil, que assim que, né, os movimentos e as viagens, né, permitirem essa aproximação, será um prazer recebê-lo aqui e conhecer também os nossos clientes e dizer que tem muita coisa sobre esse material, esses óleos africanos são realmente incríveis como ativos, a riqueza da composição de ácidos graxos insaturados e essenciais, ou seja, aqueles que o nosso corpo necessita como nutrição mesmo, né? É muito grande e a gente consegue, a partir de concentrações baixas, né, o que torna efetivo projetos. A gente já tem aqui no Brasil andando, né, de algumas empresas, tanto para uso em produtos capilares, como produtos da pele, e toda a equipe, né, de Ciências da Vida da Color Mix, o nosso laboratório, podem contar conosco para o desenvolvimento do projeto de vocês. O que vocês precisarem da gente, né, estamos sempre à disposição, né, para ideias, sugestões, bancada, enfim, estou deixando os contatos aqui, e encerrando, lembrando, né, que está gravado lá no canal do YouTube da Color Mix Especialidades, que às vezes a gente não consegue assistir nesse momento, mas em qualquer momento está disponível. A nossa equipe toda de Ciências da Vida, tanto da área comercial como técnica, né, coordenada aí pelo Alexandre, estamos à disposição, que vocês precisarem da gente, amostra, sugestão, formulações, aplicações, enfim. E muito obrigada, Imran, pelo seu tempo, pelo seu carinho, sempre nos trazendo oportunidades de aprendizado.
Thank you very much, Eliane. Thank you very much to Abreu and the entire Color Mix team. Thank you to the audience for participating today and joining the discussion. Very much appreciated. And I really do look forward to catching a flight one day sooner rather than later and crossing the pond from South Africa across to Sao Paulo.
Será muito bem-vindo. Obrigada a todos.
Obrigado.
Obrigada.
Obrigado a todos, hein?